So let me tell you boys why this video is titled as it is, and it's quite a funny story actually. So I was cooking some chicken and rice. Can you boys hear that bird? Look at this view quickly, boys. I'll try to record more videos here because when the water comes in, it's gorgeous. It's just like, it's calm, it's still, and it comes quite high as well. It comes up here. Anyway, the reason that this video is titled as it is because I was cooking chicken and rice in my kitchen and my sister came home from school. And, you know, we had the normal chat. She's only 13 years old, I think, 12 or 13 years old. And we were having the chat. I asked her how school was, and she was good. She said it was good. However, she mentioned to me that she had a spelling test and she only had 4 correct answers out of 15. And I looked at her and I said, how do you only have 4 correct answers? You know, what's wrong with you? You know, I thought letting the family last name down here, 4 out of 15 in a spelling test, that's less than a third correct. I was like, how did you manage to do so badly? And she turned to me and said, well, the words were hard. And I was thinking, you know, her generation is fucked, definitely, because all she does is watch TikTok, watch YouTube. Like, she's not going to know how to spell words. Of course she isn't. And then she turned to me and said, you know, she's got this attitude. She's only 13 years old, so she's getting into having like an attitude, the teenager girl attitude. And she turns and says to me, well, I bet you couldn't score more than me. And now that's a challenge. So I thought, go on then, read me the words. Let me get 15 out of 15 and prove you wrong, and then we can go on with our day happily. And she read out the first word. I think it was accommodation or something similar to that. And I spelled it, you know, double C, double M. I remember that from my spelling test days in school. I was like, you know, accommodation, double C, double M. And she was like, okay, fair, correct. And the next word was something like arachnophobia. And I thought to myself, shit, I don't know how to spell arachnophobia. I had a guess, it was wrong. And by the time we got through all 15 words, I probably scored about 5 out of 15. So I did one slightly better than her. And, you know, she's been all cocky then saying, see, they're hard words, that's why I couldn't spell them. And I was like, this is what social media has done to us, isn't it? I was like, with all this spell check, with all this automatically correcting words, I was like, I don't actually have to spell words anymore. I can't remember the last time I sat and tried to spell a word correctly. I journal, but how do I know that I'm spelling the words correctly? And when I type on my laptop and on my computer, they just automatically correct the words for me. You know, you just spell check, red line under it, spell check, click, new word. I was like, this is actually what social media is doing to us. And because it's so comfortable, because it's so easy, we're losing these basic skills. I think back to my grandfather, my great-grandfather, specifically my grandfather. I would work with him for a while just to earn a bit of cash as a labouring job because he's a labourer. And I remember he would take measurements. He would measure like walls and stuff and measure areas that he would need to build. And he would just do, you know, oh, that length is 2.3 meters. That length is 1.8 meters. We want to find, you know, what that length is. So we just times them together. And he just did it off the top of his head like that, wrote it down and measured it up. And I was like, would I actually be able to do that in my head? Now, maths is a little bit different because I'm quite good at maths and I always have been quite good at maths. But think back to the days where they didn't have calculators so easily and they didn't have spell check so easily and they didn't have all these tools that we have. Those guys, those men and women, they had to do it for themselves. They had to work out those maths themselves. They had to work out those words and how to spell them correctly themselves. Remember the typewriters? You get one word wrong, you're fucked. You have to start again. And I think we're losing these basic skills. We're losing the skills of being able to spell and the skills of being able to do quick maths in our head. It's because we don't need them anymore. But they're still basic skills. They still keep your mind sharp. I think the more and more technology comes around, the less and less we're going to require these basic skills. And the more and more dyslexic we're going to get, the more and more unintelligent we're going to get with basic skills. We're going to know how to use technology. We're going to know how to use all these different tools. Don't get me wrong, we have different skills now. We have more skills. But the basic skills, we're losing them. I keep looking up, by the way, boys, because trains come across this place. I want to try and get a train on camera for you. But like I said, we're losing these basic skills. We're losing the normal skills that strong masculine men would have. And I think that there's something sad to that. And I think it's going the same way with convenience in terms of everything. You know, think about it. You could go a whole day without talking to anyone. My grandfather and my great-grandfather, they would talk to anyone. They would have amazing social skills. They'd have the best, vocabulary. They'd know what words to use, and they'd have humor, and they'd know how to speak to women easily, and they'd know how to speak to other guys very easily. And I think young guys are losing this skill because of how convenient it is. You think about it. You wake up, maybe you text someone, haven't said a word yet. Then, you go make breakfast while listening to a podcast or something of the same nature as that. Maybe you listen to some music. Again, you haven't spoke to anyone. Maybe you work from home, you're in tech, so you work remotely. You're just typing all the time. You're on Slack, you're on WhatsApp, you're messaging people, not actually having any conversation. What do you do next? You go throughout your day, you go to the gym, you got headphones in. You don't speak to anyone in the gym. You come home and, maybe you live by yourself. So you watch a film, you watch a movie. Again, you don't speak to anyone. You deliver food to your house from Deliveroo or Uber Eats. Again, you don't even have to have an interaction. You can just make a note and say, yeah, leave it on the doorstep. So you don't actually have to speak to anyone. You could go your whole day saying about 2 or 3 sentences. And I think that is damaging us more than we realise. I think social media has done that. I'm not one of these people that hate social media. I think social media is the worst thing ever. No, social media is great. But I think it's a man's job especially to tap into those things that guys aren't doing. It's now becoming more unique to not use social media than it is to use social media. Back in the day, if you had computers and you had technology, then that is when you were top 1%, top 2%, top 5%. But these days, the top guys, it's reversed because of technology and using things to, communicate for you, or to Uber Eats or deliver stuff to your house or watch movies. Because it's so readily available, it's so easy through Netflix, through Apple TV, through Amazon Video, stuff like this. It's becoming less common that people are just using basic communication skills. And if you want to succeed in sales, you want to succeed in business, you want to succeed in life, you need these communication skills. You need to be able to have conversations. You want to get women, you need to have humor. You need to be able to speak articulately and get your words across in a non-creepy way. And I think that it's so easy to just negate those skills and negate those type of characteristics that we had for years and years. And like I said, if you want to stand out, if you now want to become a top 1% man, top 5% man, you got to go the other way. You've got to make sure that you make a conscious effort to speak every single day. I cycled down to this location. It takes about 10 minutes. On my way down, I see people running. Give them a good morning, give them a nice head nod, give them a smile. If you go to a coffee shop, instead of using the screens to order a coffee, like the other day I went to the cafe, and you can just use screens to order. People queue up, order on the screen, tap, 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 tap. Payment comes through, take a table number, you go and sit at a table, they come round, they give you a coffee, you say thank you, they say thank you, and that's the only interaction you have. So make it a conscious effort to actually go up to the desk, go up to the counter and speak and smile and look at them in the eyes, and maybe even crack a joke, try and make their day a little bit better, because it's so easy to just negate all those things. Like I said, we're becoming very, very comfortable in our lives. We're becoming very dependent on technology and dependent on not being able to use our social skills and use our communication skills. And like I said, I just don't feel like that is a good path to go down. I remember working with my grandfather, and with his clients and stuff, I'd always be shy. I'd always want to use my phone. I'd always want to, hide away in the corner, and he would be able to speak. He'd be able to go to a shop and hold a conversation. He'd be smiling, he'd be laughing, he'd be making jokes, he'd be, brightening up the people's days, while I would just sit there on my phone. And at the time I thought, why is he speaking to these random people? But then I realised that's in his nature. That's just what he does. That's just the way he was brought up. And he didn't have the technology, he didn't have the phones, he didn't have the WhatsApp and those communication tools. He had to speak, he had to use his language. And like I said, communication is one of the most important things. You look at Andrew Tate, for example. His number one skill is being able to communicate, is being able to get his words out, being able to influence people by the way he speaks. And he stands out so much because guys can't speak anymore, they can't communicate anymore, they don't read books, they don't learn new languages, they don't learn new words. It's not important to them anymore. It's just constantly on WhatsApp, spell check, you know, correcting it for you. You don't have those communication skills anymore. I think that's the reason Andrew Tate stands out so much, is because of how good he can speak and how well he gets his point across. And it comes through habit, it comes through repetition, it comes through actually making a conscious effort to go ahead and do those things. So don't become part of the dyslexic generation, as I like to call it. You know, don't become one of those guys that is just a little bit of an incel, you know, not even incel, because you can go to the gym, you can speak to women, but it's always on an app. You know, they're speaking to women on dating apps rather than actually approaching in real life. They go into the gym, but they're just having their headphones in instead of speaking and communicating with guys in the gym. You see what I mean? There's a very big difference. And I think if you want to stand out in the next coming years, if you really want to push to become a top level man, a high value man, a high level man, then being able to communicate is our train. No, it's not. Being able to actually communicate in real life, being able to, you know, get up and do a presentation or do a speech without hesitating. You think back to like the Roman days. Do you think they were scared to get up in front of the army of 1,000 people and make a speech, make a motivating speech? Of course not. They would just be there, they'd make the speech, they'd influence people, they would motivate people, they would get people to do what they wanted, just using their communication, using their voice. And I think guys are losing this. They're becoming shy, they're becoming incel, they're becoming introverted. There's nothing wrong with introversion. I'm naturally introverted. But consciously giving yourself tasks in order to become better, in order to use your communication skills, in order to actually speak to women, speak to men, go out your way and say good morning to people like I did, or go out your way and, you know, actually make an effort to speak and communicate with someone. And I think if there's anything you take away from this video, it's the making a conscious effort in order to speak, use your voice, use your language, get better at speaking. If you've got the money, hire a speaking coach, or just make videos like I am now. It'll improve your communication skills and your language and your vocabulary by many times. So that's the takeaway of this video. Don't become one of those incels who just uses technology to speak, uses Discord, uses Reddit, uses Instagram, because it's two completely different worlds. The online world and the in real life world is completely different worlds, and most people these days are better at the online world than they are in the real life world. They're better at being able to text women online, but they can't hold a conversation in real life. Or they're better at sending cold DMs online, but when it comes to actually speaking to business partners in real life and being able to handshake them and being able to look them in the eye and being able to use humor and use wit off the top of your head, just off your brain, without using your phone, without using ChatGPT, without using technology, it's two completely different worlds. And the guys like are doing in real life, I'm very bullish on these guys. I think these are the guys that will succeed in the future. Remember boys, no one has come to save you. If you want to join the free community, get that in the description. If you want to jump on a one-on-one call with me as well, that's in the description too. And apart from that, have a good day, Kings. Peace out.